And this week I want to talk to you about being disappointed with God. And I know that this seems like I was saying, it seems absolutely absurd that we would direct our frustration or we would direct our anger and being upset towards God. I mean, He's God, right? Like, how could you dare do that? How could you dare possibly think to yourself that you could be mad at the creator of the universe? That you could actually be mad at God for anything that He might do or not do, or what He might stop or what He might allow. It can just be overwhelming. And so studies tell us that many of us fear disappointment so much that we actually change our behavior just so we don't have to feel it. Like we feel so disappointed about things. And here's a risk, here's a danger, and I've talked about this as we've been moving along in this sermon series, is that disappointment not only affects moments in our life. Disappointment not only affects situations that have occurred at different junctures and different points. Disappointment can actually become a way of life. Disappointments can become something that we just exist within. Disappointment is something that we begin to experience all the time. And it manifests itself in anxiety and depression. It manifests itself in reclusing and hiding from people. You see, letdowns leave us feeling devastated, in shock, sad, discouraged, and dismayed. And whether disappointment has a corrupted root cause, let me say this again. Whether disappointment has a corrupted root cause or is the cause of corrupted roots, unconfronted, those roots fortify within our soul and become dangerously unmovable. You guys tracking with me? Disappointment has a corrupted root cause or is the cause of corrupted roots. We know that there's a root system, that there's seed that's been planted in our life, and if we're not careful, the seed that has been planted in our life can become this fortified root system that stays within us, that we can't seem to get rid of. It's the breaks in relationships, right? It's things that we're humiliated in personally. It's the things that create despair or distort our thoughts. It's the things that destroy our peace or corrupt our faith or instigate hate. It's the things that ruin life. It's the things that instigate cynicism, produces negativity, devastates faith. It severs us from God. Though misdirected, our feelings often turn us toward blaming God. I mean, we live in a fallen world. We live in a pretty messed up world. Things are not healthy. Things are not okay. We are sinful people, period. There's no avoidance of that reality. And with no avoidance of that reality, we know that we live in this broken place where we are broken often daily and weekly. There are moments in our lives where things just overwhelm. And so, in Proverbs 13:12, it says this. I've read this a few times during this sermon series. Unrelenting disappointment leaves you heartsick, but a sudden good break can turn life around. How many of you guys feel like at times that you're waiting for the good break? All right, how many of you guys are there? Follow with me, come on. How many of you guys are there? The unrelenting disappointment, it leaves your heart sick. You guys heart sick at times because the disappointment is unrelenting, that it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. And you're just like, okay, I want the sudden good break. I want my life to turn around. I want things to happen. I want a good situation. I want a good moment. I want a good opportunity where things shift in my life, and it's just like, okay, I got a good break. Whew, things are better now. They don't always happen that way. And so there's this like transition that happens. And if I could just come right out and say it to you guys, this is what takes place, okay? Just in three sequential things. And this isn't always the exact order, but in my own experience with people that I've talked to, it's you start out being disappointed. betrayed, and then resentful. Now, we are disappointed with God, okay? And then there are times when that disappointment, if left unconfronted, undealt with, that disappointment then can suddenly feel like betrayal. Now, that seems absurd, too, to just say that, but how many of you guys ever felt betrayed by God? Yeah. I mean, it's uncomfortable. You're like, oh, I'm not going to raise my... I don't want the lightning to shoot through the building and zzz, all right? But seriously, like sometimes we feel betrayed by God. Sometimes we feel so disappointed in the way that a situation is working out or not working out that we feel betrayed, and then it becomes resentment. And resentment towards any other individual in this world can be catastrophic alone, but feeling resentment towards God, ooh, that's bad. That's really bad. And see, at the beginning stages of disappointment, we begin to question God's character. We begin to question His sovereignty. We begin to question our position in Christ. We begin to question our commitment to God. We begin to question our worth. We begin to question God's love, right? When we are disappointed by God, it creates something that causes us to question everything. It causes us to doubt. It causes us to be insecure. And we are flawed, so though our understanding of God is not correct, we can begin to feel disappointment towards Him. And disappointment instigates disappointment. Like, I know that sounds redundant, but like the more you're disappointed, the more you're going to be disappointed. The more you're disappointed about things, the more that just like creates more disappointment. It becomes this reality that you exist within. It becomes this situation that you are living within. And if we're not careful, our disappointment from the past and experience now has the power of condemning the future. Our disappointment from the past. You rehearse it. You think about it. It becomes a replay in your mind. You just like replaying it over and over and over and over again. It's like the soundtrack of your life, and you put it on repeat, and it's just like, oh, that's not good. Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, that didn't play out well. That didn't play out the way I wanted it to. My family's fractured because of divorce, and that disappointment didn't, it just devastated my life. It crushed me. It made me question God. It made me disappointed in God. Okay, I didn't get the, college education that I was hoping for. I didn't get the job that thought I was going to get. Things didn't play out the way that I anticipated, the way that I wanted them to, so I'm disappointed in the past. I'm disappointed in things that unfolded in my life. And so we rehearse the disappointment in the past, and then we think about the disappointment that we experience now, right? And it becomes this cycle. Like, we think about the past, and we think about right now. And disappointment just creates more disappointment. In that disappointment creating more disappointment, we condemn our own future without even realizing what's going on. Because we exist within that disappointment so much so that we can't even begin to experience the brilliant and bright future that God has for us, because we're too busy thinking that I was disappointed yesterday, I was disappointed in the past, and I'm disappointed now. Why am I not going to be disappointed just ahead? And so we condemn our future. We condemn our hopes of the future. We condemn what we feel like could possibly happen. And here, I'm going to get real blunt with you in this whole idea of betrayal. Like being betrayed by a friend, by somebody you trusted. I've experienced this before, and it's heart-wrenching. Like somebody you trusted, somebody placed your confidence in. A person that you believed had your best interests in mind. Like you were just like, okay, I'm going to trust this person. I'm going to give them details of my life, and I'm going to believe that they're not going to betray me, and they betray you. Or you may not even trust them with pertinent details or things about your life. You may just trust them as an individual, that they're always going to be there for you, that they're always going to stand by your side, that you can be confident in their friendship. And then suddenly, they're gone. They've left you. They've walked away from you. They've disappeared. I can't even tell you the amount of times that has happened in my own life. I know that it's happened in your own life as well. And when we believe that God has betrayed us, we become certain of two things. I mean, I know that there are more things that we can become certain of, but there's two things that I know that in my own mind, as I've battled with this reality, we often realize that God exists, but he is a traitor. Ooh, that's ugly to even say that. And we may not vocalize it. We may not be like, oh, you're real and you're a traitor. You're real and you did this to me. You're real and you messed things up. You're real and you're sovereign and you allowed this to happen. But however deceptive this reality is, no matter how we've been lured into this thought and then this perspective, we can begin to, if our disappointment is unchecked, we can begin to exist within the feelings of betrayal by God. That, yes, God exists, but he's a betrayer. He's a traitor. And so we begin to turn our anger against God. We begin to turn our frustrations towards God. We begin to, look at him and say, you did this to me. How could you do this to me? I trusted you. If we can't identify those things that are happening within our hearts and within our thoughts and our emotions and actions, they attach themselves to us and they're unrelenting. You see, it is in our losses, in our pains, in our failures, that we can easily descend into a betrayed and victimized theology. It is there that God becomes a traitor. I know this isn't fun truth this morning, but I'm just being real with you guys. I'm just being real with you guys. And we've all faced moments where loss is big and our failures are intense. Our pains are intense, and we fall into this place where we just exist within a victim mentality. We've been victimized. I am a victim of whatever situation occurs. I'm a victim of whatever's happening in my life. And though I thought I could trust God, though I thought I could believe that he had the best in mind at one point, he messed with things. He messed things up, and now he's a traitor, and now I am the victim of his traitorous actions. And then we become resentful. This is terrifying to me. The idea of resentment. Now, atheists wouldn't attest to this, but resentment is something that exists within them as well. They don't believe in anything, and oftentimes if you get to the root of it, the reason they don't believe in anything is because they resent God. People deal with this ever-growing confusion. They're overwhelmed by injustice. They're weighed down by depression or oppression. They blame God for their pain. We've all been there before. It could strike at any person at any time. We let down our guard, and we'll be pulled into this downward spiral. We'll be pulled into this situation. Yeah, I'm disappointed in God, but I've got to confront it. I've got to deal with it. I've got to address it. I've got to look at things as they are, not the way that I think they are. I've got to address things for what they are and not get confused as I contemplate what God is doing, not be burdened in a way that's going to make me assume that God is different than he really is. And in that, just like this downward spiral. Okay, well, I'm disappointed with God. Now God is my betrayer. And now at this point, I'm going to resent him for what he's allowed. I'm going to resent him for what he's done or allowed to be done in my life. And often, resentment like that leads to people abandoning the faith. They just walk away. They're like, I don't want this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to deal with this. And in their thoughts, they think, if I emancipate myself from God, if I divorce myself from God, I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to deal with him. I'm going to be free of it. I'm going to be released of it. This whole religion thing, this whole oppression thing, feeling overwhelmed all the time, I'm just going to walk away. And we find out, whether people vocalize it or not, the pressure mounts, and it becomes worse. You see, unconfronted, our life is assured ruin. Our life is assured ruin. Disappointment in God is real, but if we're not cautioned, if we're not going to address it, if we're not going to do something about it, then we're going to watch as things spiral out of control to the place of, you may be going to church, you may be a religious person, you may be a person who acts as a Christian, and when people say, you say, yes, I'm a Christian, but you inside do not operate that way. A pastor, I heard it said this way, a pastor said it this way, he actually wrote a book about it, he called it Christian Atheist. Saying that you're a Christian but living like you're not. Saying that you're a believer but living like you're not. And so I'm going to read to you guys this story of this guy named Elijah. He's this incredible prophet. He did some amazing things. And he just went toe-to-toe with the prophets of Baal with this whole like on the mountain and fire coming down from heaven. It was just an incredible experience. And then he goes down the mountain and he goes hiding under a broom tree. Now, in 1 Kings 19, 1 through 8, let me just read it to you guys. Look it up. Say that every week. Look it up. It's a pretty incredible story. Elijah flees to Horeb. So now Ahab told Jezebel everything Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. All right, now I'll be like, oh man, Elijah's he's a brutal man, a violent man. I'm not going to say what these prophets of Baal were guilty of, but it was horrendous what they would do. So, he told Jezebel. Ahab told Jezebel. So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah. May the gods deal with you, or may the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of the one of them. Elijah was afraid, and he ran for his life. Okay, this is the guy who just saw fire come from heaven and burn a sacrifice. Like, all right, he talked to the prophets of Baal, and said, maybe your God is doing something else. Maybe your God is busy. Maybe your God is, and then he filled this sacrifice with water and water and water and water, and then God just and took care of it. But this guy who experienced this huge, amazing thing, he runs. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. And when he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. And he came to a broom tree, or a broom bush. Okay, not even a tree, a bush. He came to a bush, and he sat down under it and prayed that he might die. Okay, all right. That's not funny. I'm snickering. I'm sorry. But he's climbing under this bush, and he's like, God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. Just end it. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. And talk about disappointment. And then he laid down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, get up and eat. He looked around, and there by his head was bread baked over hot coals, okay, and a jar of water. He ate and he drank, and he lay down again. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. So he got up and he ate and drank. Strengthened by the food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into the cave and spent the night. Now, there's some pretty amazing things that happen in the cave there. God comes to him in this huge, he sees these huge, amazing things, and then God comes to him in the whisper. Again, you got to read the story, but just for the point this morning, he is overwhelmed, and he hides under this bush, and he's just like, God, I want to be dead. I want to be dead. Why did you let me live? Why did you let me get into this? Why did you let me experience these things? All right? I heard it said this way. I saw this the other day. This is a gentle reminder that one time in the Bible, Elijah was like, God, I'm so mad. I want to die. And so God said, here's some food. Why don't you take a nap? Woo. So Elijah slept, ate, decided things weren't so bad. All right? Never underestimate the spiritual power of a nap and a snack. Right? You ever one of those moments where you're just like, oh, God, I'm done. And then you lay down and have one of those 15, 20-minute naps, and then all of a sudden you hear your kids screaming, you wake up, and you're like, oh, I'm more raging now because I didn't get enough sleep. But you lay down for a minute, and you're just like, you sleep and you slip into like you're just gone. Like, you ever fallen asleep like you're just, and then you wake up and you're like, whoa, how long was it? When you're really tired, that happens. And so like you're like, okay, I'm going to go to bed, and you get a snack and you're like, okay, it's not so bad. And God in that moment, he nourishes Elijah. He's like, okay, Elijah, rest for a little bit. Go to sleep. I'll get you some food. Go to sleep. I'll get you something to eat. Go to sleep. Just find the comfort in that. Now, Elijah had to be exhausted. Okay, just think about it for a minute. Elijah had to be exhausted. I don't know about you, but I would have had to be exhausted to fall asleep under a bush in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to climb under this bush. God, why am I still alive? Just take me out. I'm no better than my ancestors. And then he's just like, an angel touched him and said, hey, Elijah, take a nap. Take a nap. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. He laid down and fell asleep. Okay? Actually, the angel touched him after that. He laid down and fell asleep. He was out cold. Now, there's some like bread on some hot coals. It's like, right? There's a jar of water. And he wakes up and he looks around and he's like, oh, God, you're going to provide me with some good food and sustenance for myself so that I can have the strength that I need. 3 things real quick. When you are feeling disappointed by God, God help us to not allow it to become that feelings of resentment. But when you are on that trajectory, the first thing, you got to tell God everything, unfiltered, honest, and raw. You got to like, okay, God, here it is. Here it is in all of its awful, raw emotion and feeling. I am going to ugly cry, and I'm going to rage at the sky just to express to you just how I feel. Elijah's laying underneath a bush saying, I want to die. Take my life. Take my life. Now, this is going to be real honest for a minute. I'm not asking you to raise your hands. I just want you to think for a second. Have you ever laid down and said, God, take my life? That's a hard thing to think about. And so Elijah's just like, he's out there, he's blunt, he's honest. Elijah did. Bottling your feelings always make the situation worse. Whatever's inside of us, whatever we're feeling, whatever's going on inside of us, we don't bottle it, we don't push it down, we don't press it down and repress it. That's going to create issues later on in life. It's going to lead to that place where I was talking to you about earlier, that resentment towards God. And you're like, okay, God, I'm just going to get this out in the open. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to express it in full detail. I'm just going to say it like it is. We shout and we cry. We don't hold on to it. We just open air it. Now, you may need to find not a quiet place, because then it'll be extra loud, but like a place where people can't hear you, okay? I mean, like if you're going to really, really shout, or, well, don't wait till late at night, because then people are going to think things are happening at your house. Anyway, but like seriously, find a place. Find a place where you can be honest with God. You ever have one of those moments where you just you just break down and you just start sobbing and you just start saying and you start speaking, even shouting, and after that you're just like, oh, I feel better. I feel better. I feel so much better. Because God wants you to get it out in the open. He's big enough. He's strong enough. He can handle your dysfunction. He can handle your feelings. He can handle what's weighing you down. Even when you look at him and say, God, I'm not happy about this. God, I'm disappointed in you. And God in his loving compassion says, you're disappointed in me because you don't understand me. You don't understand what I'm doing. But okay, let's work through this. Let's deal with this. Let's address this. And we can only do that when we don't repress, but we release. The second thing we got to do is we got to ask and wait for God to reveal his faithfulness. We got to wait and ask for God to reveal his faithfulness. He went to sleep, took a nap, ate some food, and then he went to the mount, he went to the cave, and in that cave, God was going to reveal himself to him in a way that he had never experienced before, but he had to have what he had right there in that moment before he could journey to the next thing. There's so many of us that take things in life for granted. We don't look at the entire situation for what it is. We don't ask God to reveal his faithfulness. We don't ask God because we're miserable, we're disappointed, right? Disappointment creates more disappointment, and that disappointment creates more disappointment. It compounds, and we're just like, forget it. I'm not going to ask you anything anymore, God, because it's not like you're going to do it anyway, and you already know what's going on in my head, so why do I even have to say it? No, say it, speak it, be honest about it, share it. God, I want you to show me just how powerful you are. God, I'm going to ask you to reveal your faithfulness in these situations, in these circumstances. I'm going to ask you to show me, I'm going to ask you to reveal to me how you're with me, When you sit down and you pray, you ask God just to show himself in big ways. And sometimes it's like he reveals his faithfulness because you begin to see things as they are. It's not this sudden reveal like, poof, I'm God, look at it. I mean, sometimes he does that, but like, I'm God, look at this. Other times he's like, hey, Seth, open your eyes. Did you see that? I took care of that. Did you miss that? I mean, I know you're disappointed. Your disappointment is clouding your vision. You can't see things clearly, but look what I did. Look at what I accomplished. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Open your eyes, Seth, and see what I have already done that you are missing because you're allowing your mind to be clouded by disappointment. Other times, he shows up. He manifests himself in a big way. You're just like, okay, God, I'm disappointed. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say what I feel in the raw, and then I'm going to step back and I'm going to wait for you to reveal your faithfulness. Not that you don't do anything. I mean, there's work in waiting on God, but you step back and say, okay, God, I'm going to trust you and believe for you to move. And then he does something. It's just like, wow, huh? Wait, what? How? Okay. Okay, right? I mean, you guys ever have your socks blown off by God's faithfulness? It's just like, whoo, okay. Sorry, God, I didn't mean to deny or doubt or feel insecure about your faithfulness. And then 3 weeks later, we're like, God, why aren't you around? All right, I know that's kind of brutal, but it's honest, right? And you're just like, I thought you were there for me. And then, God wants to do big things. God wants to do big things. I was sharing earlier with you guys as we were, going through worship, and I was crying and all that messy stuff, and I was telling you that there is some serious battles going on within the households of this church, within the households all around us. People are there's a spiritual battle happening, and the enemy is attacking homes. He just is. And this is one of those things that I want you to walk with me and pray and believe that God is going to reveal his faithfulness in our own homes. That situations aren't going to be what we fear they're going to be. Oh, I give up, I quit. This is just too much of a mess. This is too bad. This is too horrible. I'm not dealing with this anymore. God, whatever. It's going to fall apart and whatever. No, we have got to ask God to help you build the faith, because sometimes we don't have the faith to believe, and ask God to build the faith in us, and we're saying, okay, enough. I'm tired of being defeated. I'm tired of being overwhelmed. I'm tired of feeling like I don't have enough. I'm tired of feeling like this whole thing is for naught. I'm tired of feeling like I am wasting my time praying because it's not going to happen. You know what? I'm tired of all that, so I'm going to step up and I'm going to believe for something ridiculous by human standards. Did you see that? I was like, what is that? All right. I'm going to believe for something big, right? I'm going to believe for something massive. God is going to do something great, and it's just going to be like, whoa. God is so faithful to us. God is so powerful. And last, number 3, trust that God will finish what he began. There are so many things in life I don't understand. There are so many things in life that I'm so confused about. There's so many things that I don't get. Look at this situation as a whole, and I can see some of the things that he's beginning to work out. I can see how he's had a plan in it. I can see how he's been doing something big, something pretty powerful and significant. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to trust you. And it's hard at times. You started this, God. You're going to finish it, right? You began this work. I mean, you radically changed my life, right, God? I mean, you as Jesus did, as Jesus accomplished in us, that he came, he died, he resurrected so that we are resurrected, right? I mean, he made us new beings. We are a new creation. We are a newborn in faith. And because we are a newborn in faith, that means that we start over again. We are fresh. And at the birth of us in salvation, a new work is begun. He birthed us into faith, and we are on a trajectory to heaven, but in this life, he is doing something. I said that I would, Seth, so I'm going to. Well, I want it now. You got to wait. Okay. No, I don't say okay. Right? I want it now. I want it right now. And God is just like, I'm putting the pieces together, Seth. You got to wait. You got to watch as I accomplish my plan. He's doing something in you. He's doing something through you. Trust him. Trust him. Trust him. Trust him. Trust his work. Trust his way. Trust his faithfulness in your life. How many of you guys have ever heard the statement, hope for the best, plan for the worst? Right? Have you heard that? All right, let me interrupt that. Plan for the best, have hope in the worst. Get it out of your mind. Oh, all right, I'm going to hope for the best, but I'm going to plan for the worst. Man, your mind just gets all kinds of confuddled in that. Like, I'm gonna hope for the best. I'm going to hope for the best. No, you're already getting ahead of yourself and messing things up when you begin to plan for the worst. Stop doing that. Stop living that way. Stop experiencing that. No, I'm going to plan for the best. I'm going to plan for the best because God is faithful. I'm going to plan. It's okay. I'm going to plan for the best because I know that God is going to do something great. I'm going to plan for the best, but when the worst comes, when things don't go as well as I wanted them to, when things get difficult and challenging and overwhelming, I'm going to plan for the best, but I'm going to have hope in the worst. No. No, you're not going to get me down, enemy. You're not going to mess with me. No longer are you going to affect me. I am going to leave this disappointment behind. I'm going to leave this resentment behind. I'm going to address it once and for all. God, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be blunt with you. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel and be real. And then I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. And then I'm going to trust that you are faithful. That you are faithful. We've got to release it. Church, we've got to release it today. Right now. Right now. You have got to release it. Disappointment with God will create greater disappointment with God. And disappointment on disappointment upon disappointment will weigh you down. It will mess your life up. Release it today. Don't go out of here and be like, okay, I'm going to deal with it. Okay, I'll work through it, I'm just, hey, Pastor, maybe I just need a nap and a snack. Like everything will be all right. And sometimes we're just like Elijah. We need a nap and we need a snack and we wake up and we're no longer hangry and things work out. We're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. All right? Sometimes we have a nap and a snack and we wake up and it's like, I still want to die. I still want to die. And God's like, hey, Seth, hey, child, just let it go. Just release it. Just free yourself of it. Don't be resentful. I cannot begin to tell you the freedom that creates in your life. I can't even begin to tell you just what that accomplishes. I can't even begin to tell you how God moves in those ways. Letting go of anger and resentment toward God may not happen all at once, but each day, hand it over. Thankfully, God is patient. God is kind-hearted. He will carry everything we bring to him, even in our anger, even in our frustration, even in our resentment. God is not like, oh, you're going to resent me? Oh, okay. Figure this out then. Or I'm going to make it worse. Let's see what you do now. Right? No. God's like, you resent me? Okay, come here. Come here, child. Let's work through this. Why do you resent me, Seth? Why do you resent me, child? My child, why are you struggling with this? Okay, let's do this. Let's work through this. Let's address this. Let's handle this. Let's find freedom here. Release it today. It may not be all of it, but find something to let go of. Find something to let go of. You'd be surprised just how, you'll feel a little bit more upright. Like you begin to walk a little bit stronger and healthier and more hopeful. You'd be surprised what happens. Just, you maybe need to write it down or something and just like write God an email. I mean, don't accidentally, put some of your friends in the, and send it out like, ooh. No, but like write God an email or type something up or write something up and say, okay, I'm just letting this go, burn it or something, like whatever you need to do, just like release it. Okay, it's done, it's over, it's gone. You may have to remind yourself the next day or the following week or whatever that you release that, but don't hesitate, don't wait. Today is the day to begin your freedom from this stuff. Are you with me? Okay. Hopefully I can go home and take a nap and have a snack. Right? Man. I love you guys so much. And I'm praying that these truths that we've worked through are the beginning stages of some serious freedom from the heaviness of disappointment on our lives. Release it today. Father, we thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you for you. We thank you for being with us through all situations, through all circumstances. We thank you that you have preserved your word, even when things that are shared in your word are not comfortable and are unsettling. Or that we saw prophets at the lowest place, the most depressed of experiences. And you preserve that so that it can speak to us today. And so today, God, as we think of Elijah, if we think of what he experienced under that bush, God, that we too would experience your faithfulness and your freedom, what you bring to us, to lead us to the next place where we will hear your voice again.